And we're singing. We're singing.
Dun, 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 dun.
Time to talk.
Bye-bye.
Beauty and the Bitch.
Yeah.
Hey, Mickey, let's do a quick sound check again before we start.
Okay.
Do you want to sing the theme song?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Okay. Unbreakable.
They're alive,
damn it.
damn it.
It's a miracle.
Unbreakable. They're alive, damn it.
These females have strong ass hair.
Wait.
Unbreakable.
No. Dude.
What?
Literally, what did you just say?
I said unbreakable. They're alive, damn it. It's a miracle. Unbreakable. They're alive, damn it. These females have strong ass hair.
No, it's these females are strong as hell.
But I thought they sat in the bunker and just brushed their hair all day, and that's why it's strong.
Nick, these females are strong as hell.
Well, that's much more empowering, but they do have... You have to admit, though, they have lovely hair, though.
They do have lovely
all have
hair.
great
They've
hair.
got that great, like, they've been sitting around in a bunker brushing each other's
Brushing
hair
their
thing.
hair.
You're right.
I did not realize
But
that was
also
a lyric.
you was
That's
wrong.
embarrassing. Okay, sometimes I am wrong. It happens. It doesn't happen often. Don't get used to it. But every once in a while, I mishear things.
All right,
that's crazy.
We gotta just roll on this.
Well,
because that's a whole conversation.
Okay. So first it was a sound check, but now that I've made an obvious mistake, it's the intro. Is that what you're saying?
You always say the wrong lyrics, and
I know,
it's like
embarrassing.
Not to be a control freak, but it's like you could easily Google that.
Oh, you go around, you Google every song so you have the right lyrics?
I do.
Morgan Messick. Well, that's crazy, Morgan.
Because I live my life in a karaoke world, and when I get there, I
Wow,
need to know
that's
the
fair.
right words.
I guess that's fair.
Because otherwise, it's embarrassing.
Welcome back to another episode of Beauty and the Bitch. I'm Mick.
And I am Morgan, and we are here today to talk about females who have strong ass hair.
Legit what I thought it was saying. I've been singing along to that for years.
Which is exactly who you are. Never
Yeah.
change. Never change. Yeah. That theme song is from the Netflix hit original comedy series produced by Tina Fey of 30 Rock fame, of SNL fame. You might remember her from her hit role in Baby Mama. Ooh, oh!
And also from Mean Girls. I mean, to me, I know that
Creator
Tina Fey's done
of
1,000
Mean Girls
things, but...
and starring in as Mrs. What's-Her-Dick.
I want my picture back!
What are marijuana tablets?
Oh my god, I wish someone would find some.
Classic. Kimmy Schmidt, the Unbreakable Kimmy
Yes.
Schmidt, which is a really big project for her, and I think is probably going to be one of the defining things of her career, honestly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard for me because everything she's done is so fucking huge. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
So true. She's good at creating an iconic character and, like,
is.
iconic moments because writing, honestly, is her strong suit. She's a
Yes.
fantastic actress, but
it's
writing is her strong
Yes.
suit, which also, fuck you.
I know.
Jealous as hell.
Hate her.
Yeah.
Want to be her, want to wear her skin.
And, like, so pretty.
She's also gorgeous.
So
for what it's
pretty.
worth.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck it, but it's
Deeply
true.
hilarious.
I think her writing really shines in this series.
Yeah.
I mean, her writing always shines, but to me, this humor in Unbreakable, seasons 1 through 4, season 4 just came out, like 2 weeks ago?
Final season.
Yes, final finale season.
So good.
I feel like this is such Tina Fey writing. It's like dark humor that somehow is actually very sweet and uplifting, and also constant.
Which
constant.
is so 30. It's like 30 Rock meets Parks and Rec, though. It's like she did 30 Rock, so iconic, so fantastic. Then Amy Poehler rolled out and did Parks and Rec, and I feel like this is such a smash up of different characters who belong in those different universes.
Yeah.
And Ellie Kemper, who plays Kimmy Schmidt, was in The Office, also an adjacent sort of show. And she kind of comes in with this Amy Poehler, like Leslie Knope vibe. And then she is surrounded by characters from 30 Rock.
Yeah, completely.
Like, that is her life.
Literally,
Yeah.
I mean, what's his
the
face?
white lady.
Titus. Well, both of them.
Yeah.
Titus and Andromedon. That's his real name.
Yes.
Titus Andromedon. He was Daquan on 30 Rock.
He was, and
Who was like the what was he? I'm not just a gay hairdresser, I'm also a homosexual party planner.
He was So good. And he came in like in the later seasons as part of like Tracy Morgan's wife's show, Queen of Jordan, which was hilarious. That was such a good bit.
It's my way till payday. Right?
Yeah, it's my way till payday.
That doesn't mean anything.
She had that other catchphrase for like when she worked with the like the pork industry, and and her whole catchphrase was ham. 30 Rock is like literally one of the best TV shows that ever existed. If you've never seen it, you should kill yourself.
Well, and just give up now. Just give up now.
You should, because it's not on Netflix anymore. And it's
is it not?
No, they took it off.
Oh, no.
It's a sad day.
I binged 30 Rock all at once, having
I did too.
only seen a few things here and there, and it was such a ride. It was so enjoyable.
Yeah.
I don't think Tracy Morgan is very funny. I hate to be that guy. I get tired of Tracy Morgan, but everyone else in the show I was super into. I
really like him, but I also agree as the character Tracy Jordan in the show, like he's really nothing without his posse of people.
His wife, first and foremost.
So fantastic. And then he had his homies, Grizz and .com. And then .com was secretly like a philosophical man.
Like he, so gentle.
He
and
looks
sweet.
like a bouncer, and like they treat him as such until they're like, I wonder what Henry David Thoreau would think about this. And he puts his hands together and he tells you.
Yes, exactly. Well, Morgan, we're not even supposed to be talking about 30 Rock. How did we get here?
Because Tina Fey is a goddess.
Tina Fey, that's how
she is a goddess. Yes. And so she moved on from that and did several other film projects, some things with
She's
Amy
always
Poehler.
Busy.
And she birthed one of the first like sort of great bingeable Netflix original series, right? They're like a dime a dozen. Everything's fucking great. But 4 or 5 years ago, Kimmy Schmidt was, to me, like, it defines Netflix to me.
Well, and I see that. For me, it's definitely up there with the pantheon of like Orange is the New Black, of like Netflix originals that came out when there weren't a bunch of good originals being done.
It made people be like, damn, Netflix.
Just 4 or 5 years later, it really is a different playing field. There's HBO Go and ABC Now and NBC Us and
Hulu doing great original programming.
And
Amazon
THV
Prime,
them and Amazon
spending
Prime
$4 billion on Lord of the Rings. Like, it's
Disney
a different
and
landscape.
And Fox and people and
Black Panther's nominated for Best Original Picture.
Just things, the small, those independent like tech studios have really taken off, so much so that the more standard studios now are trying to look more like Netflix and Hulu.
Absolutely, taking cues left and right.
But you're right, when this came out, there wasn't a lot of good independent stuff. We had stuff like Hemlock Grove had come out, like shit like that.
Yeah, and like back then that was like, damn, Netflix. And now it's like,
and that's trash.
Okay.
Well, we knew that was trash when that came out, girl. Don't try front.
But we've come a long way. We said
we will watch it, but you're right. When Unbreakable came out, it was notable. And I remember in my friend group, in my group of acquaintances even, we were all like abuzz with this hilarious new show. But I think it's interesting though, because it kind of, so we've both watched the finale, and we are going to avoid spoilers for the finale. We had a specific conversation about it. We're going to avoid the spoilers.
We're just going to assume you haven't seen some, any, or most of Kimmy Schmidt, so we just want you to get the most out of it.
Yes.
So we're going to tell you the, like, highlights without like too much information.
We're gonna do our best. Yeah, the thing about Kimmy Schmidt is most of it's tiny moments here and there that are memorable that we might spoil, but you won't know when those moments are coming, and they'll shock you because they're all absurd. But I really think, I love season 1 of Kimmy Schmidt, which is when Kimmy gets out of the bunker where she's being imprisoned by Reverend Wayne Gary Wayne as part of a cult for like
classic name
Wayne Gary Wayne for like 17 years, right? Or is that how long? 15 years.
It was a long time. It was like she was like 17 and now she's like a 30 something.
Which is like such a dark premise.
Yes.
Right?
And also it kind of came out right after that I should have Googled his name, but that guy in like Ohio that did have like 3 women in his basement for like
and they escaped
a decade. It kind of like came out sort of after that, and there's a lot of like dark commentary on things like that. The book and Academy Award winning film Room of course explored the darker, very real side of that, and this is like a lighthearted like, what if like a clueless sweet angel baby went into a bunker and came out a clueless sweet angel baby, except she missed 15 years of life.
Yeah.
And it's pure.
It is very, you know what? It is very pure in the way that we said Parks and Rec earlier. Definitely, it reminds me of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, it's got that vibes.
But like 30 Rock, which is actually quite a dark show. I mean, sometimes. It talks about dark things. Unbreakable is one of the most fearless shows in talking about like really upsetting topics. Gentrification, poverty, coming out to your parents, racism, consent. Yes, absolutely.
What it's like to live in a tugboat turned sideways.
Well,
a lot
and
of people
that's
don't
the
talk
real
about that.
that's the real issue. You know, the New York Times did a whole expose about that.
I'm sure, yeah.
No, but I mean, and it starts off with, you know, I've escaped from this horrible situation, which, you know, in real life would scar you.
Sure.
And she's definitely scarred in the show, too. But it's like, somehow, maybe because we're seeing it through the lens of Kimmy, who is a sweet, kind baby angel, it's always uplifting, just like Parks and Recreation. So I think that definitely these two shows, Parks and Rec and Unbreakable, should be put side by side.
You know what's interesting to me, though, is like, in a lot of ways, unlike the majority, I would say, of Parks and Rec and the majority of 30 Rock, the main characters of Kimmy Schmidt live in...
What'd you call her?
What'd you call me?
What'd you call her?
Live in a disassociative reality.
Yeah,
like the reality they live in is
true.
not the reality we live in. Which is more of a sort of Superstore thing, right? Like they like there are characters in Superstore we've said like they live in an alternate reality, whereas people around them just live in normal real life. Nobody in Kimmy Schmidt lives in our reality. There is nothing like and that's kind of one of the magical things that I think that's why it's interesting and powerful for them to like explore in a comedic way that also makes a good point on those hard to touch topics, such as being kidnapped and forced to be like a weird sex slave in an underground bunker for 15 years. Like, yeah, they're not like making fun of it, but they create this interesting alternate reality around it and like create a whole commentary on what it means to miss, you know, 2 decades of life. Yeah. And try to join the world and be a normal person. Yeah. You can't.
Which, you know, that's a similar... 15 is not too far off from 18. So I often think about, like, stay-at-home moms who, you know, they haven't been locked in a bunker, necessarily.
Well, things today... Stay-at-home moms today are different from stay-at-home moms when we were probably newborns.
Or stay-at-home dads.
Yes.
I'm sure some exist.
Power to the papas.
Woo.
But, it's different, right? Now you have resources and friends and social media. You have lots of ways to be connected, but back then, you didn't really.
No, but not even... No, but you're right, things have changed, but at the end of the day, the resume looks the same.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
If you want to try to get back in the world.
Yes,
yeah.
And was it in Kimmy Schmidt? I don't think it was. It was some other show I was watching. But at one point, it was Jacqueline, played by Jane Krakowski.
Jane Krakowski. I couldn't think of her name. She's also a 30 Rock alum, of course.
I know her from Ally McBeal. I mean, 30 Rock. But do you remember she was on Ally McBeal? You haven't seen that, have you?
Is a show I didn't watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you really missed out. So good.
Interesting. That's like a serious sort of show, isn't it? It's like a dark comedy or like a dramedy? Is it a dramedy?
It's a dramedy. It's
like
a
lawyer thing, right? Was she a lawyer?
She is a lawyer, and she joins a firm with her, like, the love of her life, who's remarried to someone else, and she's, I think, single, and like it's like Sex in the City, except she has no friends.
Aww.
Yeah, but she's fine though. She does fine. But yeah, it's very that, or like Jane the Virgin is actually what it reminds me of, because she's really creative. So all these crazy like CGI things.
Wait, do you mean Ally McBeal?
Ally McBeal's, yeah, Calista Flockhart. Like, you remember the dancing baby?
Yeah.
Ooka chaka. Like, that's like, she sees that baby everywhere. So there's like a lot of like magical realism and like flights of fancy.
Okay, I'm into that.
But Jane Krakowski, back to what I was saying, as Jacqueline in the show, doesn't she have a moment in one of the later seasons where she's like, I don't know how to change my life because there's nothing on my resume. I went from like a cocktail waitress to being a mother and wife for 20 years. And now I'm trying to like get back out into the world, but
she was a flight
have
attendant,
nothing.
But yeah.
Flight attendant. Yeah, you're right. That speaks to me. Sort of Kimmy coming out and being like, oh, I'm fresh to the world. All the ridiculousness is obviously just part of the show.
But their lives
that
are
moment
parallel.
in a way, yeah, they really are, you know. And as talking about time lost, Titus in the South, when he was whatever his fake name is, which I've forgotten, he lived in the closet for years and years, and
left on like his wedding day.
He left on his wedding day, yeah. Which I that's another example where like they make a joke out of it, yes, but it's not a cruel joke. Mm-hmm. And in the end, his wife gets her apology, and they dance together in the street or somewhere. They dance somewhere, and that's just a really good example of like they take this mega dark situation with a lot of real pain, they make it laughable, or you're able to laugh at it anyway, but then it's not cruel laughter. I think that is Tina Fey's like calling card, is she doesn't really do cruel laughter very often. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's really smart the way that she crafts the characters. And also, before we get like too far, we're 15 minutes deep, and we haven't acknowledged that Titus is obviously the best character in the show.
I saw a write-up of for this recent season. They put out a write-up of like seasons 1 through 3. And this woman was like, this show was all about strong women. And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely, that's true. Because all the women in the show were very strong in their different ways.
Sure.
I mean, they stumble, but they get back up. But then this lady didn't mention Titus Andronicus for the entire, and Titus Andromedon. I confuse his real name and his fake name.
I don't know which one is real.
His real name is Andromedon. Titus with 2 S's, Andromedon. No, that's Burgess. Burgess. That's his name. Titus Burgess. Yes.
Yes.
And then Titus Andromedon's his name in the show, and then Andronicus is, I think, his like nemesis. That other man, like tall, like similar age black man. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
A lot to keep up with.
It is a lot to keep up with. But this woman didn't mention Titus in her entire write-up of Unbreakable, and I understand
that's incomplete.
Well, exactly. That's what it is. It's incomplete because to me, he becomes the star by the end. Like, I think his story is the story.
I think by like several episodes deep, he was instantly the person I cared the most about. Like, to me, he is the funniest person in the show. He has the best jokes. He is the most ridiculous, and also like the most talented. I think he's the most talented person in the show.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's deeply talented.
Yeah, everyone's talented in that show. Fucking, we haven't even mentioned her yet, but Lillian, the landlady, played by Carol Kane. Or maybe we did mention her.
Fantastic.
And, like, she's a lifetime actress. She has 2 Emmys under her belt. She was the original Madame Morrible in Wicked.
Wasn't she? What?
Yes. I forget all of her lines. But Madame Morrible, who's like the headmistress in Wicked. Yes. Yeah. The original Carol Kane. And then she was also Penguin's mother on Gotham more recently. She's amazing in that role.
Was she Patty Mayonnaise?
No. That's Yoga Jones from Orange is the New Black.
That's right.
Yes.
Wasn't this bitch some cartoon person too?
She has a bunch of voice work under her belt. I saw
a
it on
great
IMDb,
voice.
Oh my god, iconic.
Great voice.
She was in Annie Hall and like Taxi. That show Taxi is what she won her Emmys for. So like
Taxi was great. I was very into Taxi. That. It was on Nick at Night when we were circa like junior high.
Okay.
Back when I watched like I've probably seen every episode of, like, I Love Lucy and Bewitched, and, like, Taxi was sort of thrown into there, even though they're very different eras. Huh. And so I've seen, like, most of Taxi.
Is it like the movie Taxi?
No, Taxi Driver?
Yeah, that's why I was confused. I literally all this time, until research today, thought she was in Taxi.
Robert D., that was a deep movie. Oh, yeah. That was disturbing.
Is Taxi, like, funny?
Yeah, it's like Danny DeVito was, like,
Wow, I missed it somehow.
Okay, first of all, let's be real. I don't know shit about New York or the system for taxis, but like Danny DeVito was the guy who sat in like a box with like a glass, and he was like the manager of all of the like cabbies, and like Rhea Perlman was there.
Oh, I
love her. Some other famous people.
Wow.
Not Jim Carrey, but the guy who sort of looks like him that he grew up and played. Who's the man in the moon? Wasn't that guy in Taxi?
Kaufman. Isn't that his name?
Yeah, maybe.
Max Kaufman. Is that a person?
I have no idea. Honestly, it could be.
It's who the man in the moon's about, though.
But
plays that comedian.
Yeah, but really what's her name again?
Carol Kane.
Carol Kane is fantastic, phenomenal, and also like as Lillian, like I cannot imagine another person playing that the way she played. Like she's so iconic as that crazy, weird landlord lady.
Well, and you were talking about how they all live in different flights of fancy. I mean, there's the whole Sorry, I've been rewatching. I just got tickled by memory. There's that whole episode where their apartment keeps falling apart. And she keeps being like, it's a real apartment. It's a real apartment. It's not just old cereal boxes that I've covered in, like, cake frosting, you know, or whatever. And, like, people keep, like... Or
she's like, it's not fun, Don.
She's like, I didn't just paint the dirt floor. What are you talking about? It's a real apartment. Like, no one can do that. And, you know, she really... I think she comes into her own.
She's also slightly murderous, and she does it so...
More than slightly. Oh, my God. She's murderous as hell. Oh, yeah. She's tough.
I also love the notion that she's a pure New Yorker and that, like, the life that she has lived is, like, an insane, like, it could fill, like, so many memoirs of just, like, stories that seem so unreal, because I feel like that is such a real sort of person, and she, like, takes that really real thing and puts this, like, hilarious, like, dark comedy spin on it to be like, Lillian is a very dark person.
Oh yeah.
And Kimmy, being the pure angel baby she is, like, doesn't get any of it. Like, everything is over her head. Like, every joke about murder or, like, the house being cereal boxes painted. Right. Kimmy's just like, oh, Lillian, I love you. And, like, it's just this fantasy world they live in, and it's so perfect.
Well, it is one of those things where Lillian will screw you out of the rent with one hand, and then with the other hand will drive across country to come support you in a moment of need. Like, and that's where this show really does step back from reality. Because, like, at the end of the day, with maybe the exception of Jacqueline, Jane Krakowski's character, who is, spoiler alert, even at the end, she's not really a good person. I don't think you'd ever say she's a good person. And Titus, frankly, is not a very... That none of them except for Ellie are...
Person?
Kimmy's the only... There are good minor characters.
But she makes them better.
She does, because she doesn't see the ugliness in them. She only sees the good stuff.
Yes.
You know?
And I think it's really interesting that a lot of shows where it's like, this person is the main character of this show often are, like, not the favorite person. Like, Ellie Kemper, I think she's really good, and I enjoy, like, all the things she does, but she very much is not my favorite character in the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, because all the other character actors are so strong, but without her, I think also they're not as good. Yeah. Like, yes. Like, you want to be like I could watch Titus all day by himself, but, like, him with, like, the opposition of a Kimmy Schmidt is so... It just gives him so much room to shine. Like, they play so well together.
Well, you always need... I mean, you may or may not remember, but back in our high school theater program, I was always bitching because, and it sounds like a humble brag, but I don't mean it that way, because I was always cast as the vanilla male lead. Not always, but like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Sure, frequently.
At a tiny high school. You know, it doesn't mean anything. And what it meant to me, though, was that I had boring parts. Have you ever played Aladdin? Let me tell you. It's fucking boring. Fucking Frederick from Pirates of Penzance could not be more boring. But that was so all the ridiculous characters like the Pirate King and the Genie could play off of my extremely boring life and seem more exciting and funny in comparison. But it's also, but I think the point of view is very important. That's where Kimmy really shines, because you're right. If this story was seen through the eyes of any of the other characters, it wouldn't be that ineffable, like, sweet humor. It would start to become more cruel.
Yes.
Because all the other characters are much crueler.
Yes.
Or most of them, anyway. Well, let me ask you, so who is your... Well, I know your favorites are hard, but if you were going to have dinner with one of these characters, not actor, but characters, who would you have dinner with? I'll go first, because I put you on the spot.
Okay.
My favorite character is Titus, but I wouldn't want to...
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually want to spend time with Titus Andronicus.
He's my favorite character to watch, but I agree, like, he would be so mean to me.
Yeah, like, he's really not very nice. I think Lillian would be a great friend. I feel like Lillian...
She would be a wonderful person to share a bottle of wine with. She would be that, like, you would never have to talk because she would have so much to say, and you would only want to listen.
And I feel like she's very non-judgmental, which is why I really like about her.
Oh, she's very
she's a New Yorker.
open.
She's seen everything, you know, like she's...
Can I just piggyback and say that's the obvious answer?
Lillian?
Yeah. Well, because everyone else is kind of terrible and trash. And Kimmy's, like, not a terrible trash person, but, like, she's so wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. It would be an exhausting, like, event.
Yes. Like, I would be friends with Kimmy, but from afar. We wouldn't be best friends.
It would be exhausting.
I have to teach her all the time. You know who else I would hang out with is Mimi, played by Amy Sedaris.
Oh, my God.
I fucking love that character.
I could
She's so funny.
not. I'd have to live tweet the whole thing. That lady is bananas.
Yes. I can't even. We were talking about what we were going to do this episode, and I so wish I could do a Mimi impersonation, but I don't even. I can't
It
even.
cannot be done. She is
I was trying
so
to think
unique.
of specific lines, but the lines, she doesn't even have that funny a lines. It's her delivery is so fucking hilarious.
So, yeah, you're right. The writing for her is not that great. She's just great.
She's amazing.
And she is so, like, Amy Sedaris plays the secretary in Elf, and I feel like that's a very similar sort of character, because she's, like, ridiculous, and look at this ridiculous thing, except
she's so
in
good.
Elf, some of the people she talked to lived in reality, except in Kimmy Schmidt, no one does,
No one
and they're
does.
all on board.
So Mimi, her. Oh, can you look up her last name? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wrote down Mimi Carastis, but that's the name of a former boss of mine, so I just don't think that's actually her name.
Ooh, let's see.
She is part of Jacqueline's, like, super rich 1% subset, who are, like, a constant tribe that we clash with in Kimmy Schmidt. And she is a recently divorced, sort of lost at sea
No, it is
social...
Canassis.
Canassis. Okay, I was saying Carastis.
Oh,
that's
okay.
it. Mimi Canassis. So she's like Jacqueline's best friend. She's so fucking good.
cute.
What keeps running through my head is Kimmy brings her in to talk to Jacqueline about possibly getting a divorce, and she expects Mimi to be like, life is great as a divorcee, but then Mimi's like, do you remember? She's like, look at all your beautiful things! And she like pulls down the top of her dress and is like humping the marble kitchen island. Do you remember that? Like, I just want to feel it on my skin. I fucking love her. I think that Amy Sedaris should be a much bigger star than she is. Much bigger. But
Yeah, she's great. You know, she has some really interesting cookbooks, too.
yeah, and like crafting books, she all kinds of ridiculous shit.
Yeah, she's like really great.
So I would definitely hang
Really
out with
great.
her. Like I
Yeah.
would definitely hang out with
Yes.
Mimi. Like no doubt, she's so fucking
Sure.
funny. Which character do you think you're the most like? Here,
Oh, no.
So there's Mimi Canassis, Jacqueline, Lillian, Xanthippe,
Oh, yeah.
Lillian's
Jacqueline's stepdaughter.
Jacqueline's stepdaughter.
Who I really like the girl that plays her. She's so cute.
Dylan Galula. Yeah, she's amazing.
And she's very one monotone and very like a super teenager, and I'm in college and you don't understand me.
Exactly right. How are you so weird? Xanthippe's a really interesting character because all of these characters see growth. That's another nice thing about them. Is like things do change. It's not static for these characters all the time. But Xanthippe changes probably the most because she's like, I think she's a really good example of like what happens when you've got upstanding role models. Because before Kimmy Schmidt comes in, essentially shitty Jacqueline is her only role model. And this is back when Jacqueline is
Yes.
truly shitty, like
Yeah.
horrible. She gets better over time, debatably.
Oh my
debatably.
god. At one point when Jacqueline is just like a rich housewife and like Kimmy's there, she pulls like water bottles out of the fridge
I
and
knew
she's
you were
like
going to say that. It's so good.
she's like, "Are you thirsty?" or whatever, and Kimmy's like, "No, I'm good." And she throws the water bottle in the trash.
Sloop.
Not even the recycle bin.
And it's also, isn't at that point in her life, she has a whole fridge just for those, like, what is it, Dasanis or whatever? Is that what they're drinking? It's a very specific
Whatever
brand.
the brand is, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, and then I don't know if it's the same one, but like in the most recent season, like everything she drinks says diet water.
God, that's so stupid. Well, they really do pillory like the 1% in this. I mean, they make them look a goddamn fool.
Well-
Constantly.
Well,
And also, throughout the series, Jacqueline starts to become more enamored with Native American rights.
yes.
And there's a point where she brings all of her rich former friends, I suppose you might say, to this like charity ball. And at the end, she's like, yes, thank you so much for supporting this. And it comes out that they didn't know they were there supporting First Nations people.
Right.
They thought they were the first people,
Yeah.
as in we're the only people we care about.
We're number one.
Yeah. And I was like, this is so real. This is, I feel like
So
I've seen this
true.
on like political news stations, you know?
Also, my favorite thing about Jacqueline is like when she mispronounces things. Like
Oh my God,
she
so
frequently can't pronounce like very simple things, sometimes complex things, but she always doubles down. She's
Yeah.
like if my microphone says blue, she would be like, it says blue Yui.
Yeah.
And if you're like, it says blue, she's like, blue Yui?
That's like...
She, like, can't unsay the word that she's trying to say.
Well, that's because she's nouveau riche, right? Because she isn't actually fancy. Spoiler. She's not fancy, and she has to fake it. Really.
Which also she was like in 30 Rock. Like, her characters are very parallel to her 30 Rock character and her Kimmy Schmidt character.
Oh, yeah.
But Jane Krakowski is like very good at playing that sort of like aged out of beauty but still beautiful person who like wants to be 20 but is actually 47 and is like literally fit enough and like has kept it tight enough that like from a distance maybe. You know what I mean? And she's very good at, like, embracing that. She's very good at it.
You know what's interesting? She was that same character, really, in Ally McBeal. And that was 20 years
Just
ago.
20 years younger.
She played it more like desperate and hungry. And she was like, I'm beautiful and young and blonde. What else do you need? And people were like, everything else. And then but she was the same character, though. Like, that's the character she plays. And I think she's so good at it.
I think she's very good.
Very rarely am I like, you keep playing that same character, baby. Like, I get over it, but not with her, honestly.
Yeah.
Not with her. And she's been smart that, you know, the characters are very different in all these different shows she's done. The vibe is sometimes similar, but the characters are all different, so the people she's playing off of, you know.
Totally.
Okay, so Xanthippe, Kimmy Schmidt. There's Titus, Andromedon, whose real name is Titus Burgess. Yes. And then there's Mikey, who may or may not be someone's love interest. And then, did you know... Cindy, another one of the Indiana Mole women who escapes with Kimmy Schmidt, she also is the voice of Cheryl the robot.
Who's... Oh! Right? I like Cheryl the robot.
I know, she's so fucking funny.
I feel like Cheryl the robot was a revelation, especially in the last couple episodes of the series. Actually... I thought that was kind of deep, the stuff about Cheryl. Like, Cheryl was an interesting character that is the future.
A semi-sentient robot? Or maybe
semi-sentient.
Maybe fully sentient. We don't really know, but she's definitely not just a type recorder.
But she's
type recorder? Morgan, that's not even a word. Tape recorder or typewriter?
She's got the vibe of, what is the robot made from the Jetsons?
Oh,
you know,
the robot
she's in the
maid.
song.
Yeah.
They say her name. It's like...
Miss Wheels.
I don't want to say something racist, but she might have a racist name.
Does she?
I don't know.
She's a robot. How the fuck? What?
It's possible.
Literally, robots are the only people who shouldn't have to care about race.
It's too bad. They live in our society.
Well, fair enough.
So anyways, but she's got that sort of vibe where she's like, even though I'm semi-sentient and very, like, knowledgeable on the socio-emotional level, like, all you have to do is be like, exit, and she can, like, shut down or whatever. But also she's always listening and learning, which technology. Yeah, Cheryl. Wow. So Cindy and Cheryl, one and the same.
I don't know if it's actually that actress in the Cheryl costume, but it might
voicing,
be.
Yeah.
No, there is. I think you were hinting at it. There's a powerful, almost like Black Mirror moment in the final season where it becomes very clear that the character that Cheryl is talking to doesn't care that she seems to be sentient and essentially just uses her. Like, but it's funny because in the Kimmy Schmidt universe, it's essentially just a laugh moment, really. And in Black Mirror, it's all like 42 episodes of sadness. You know what I mean? It's all about point of view, really.
Yeah.
You know?
We've been making our way through Black Mirror, and we're like, I think we only have one episode left in season 3. So we recently saw San Junipero, which is
that's a good one.
heralded as like one of the best ones, you know? There's like a couple that are like the best ones according to the internet.
Tend to be the happy ones, I found.
And San Junipero was like definitely the happiest one we have seen.
Oh, yeah.
But also still like not happy in many ways. Anyways, I was so relieved to finally see that because it's so just despair. And that episode I found sweet and wonderful. Sweet and wonderful. Yeah, so if you guys are embarking on Black Mirror, like your girl, it gets better and better from what I've seen and what I hear. So just keep going because you'll finally get to at least San Junipero and you'll be like, this is worth the wait.
Yeah,
Worth
there
the
is some,
wait.
I will tell you, it does get better and better, but what that show is best at is fucking giving you a panic attack. So by the time you get into well, yeah, that's what I binge watch most of that show. Yes,
that's
and
an
it
effort.
fucks me up. I've told you 1,000 times, there are things that will never stop living behind my eyelids because of that. Very upsetting. Speaking of things that won't stop living behind my eyelids, do you remember Kimmy? Okay, there are parasites, but don't burst me out on air.
I do, but only because, spoiler alert, Mick and I were just talking about this before this episode, and I didn't remember it. Because this show is so good at having so many moments and so many side characters and stories that it's easy to forget.
And really good actors and actresses come into these side
they're good at casting. I didn't remember until you told me, and now it has brought on so many memories and thoughts and feelings.
Well, first of all, she's not Kimmy, she's Kimmy, which just by her name alone, I'm annoyed. Yes. I'm just annoyed, right? And she's played by Kiernan Shipka, who is young Sabrina now, right? Or
Sabrina.
Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Yes. Formerly Sally Draper.
And I have to say, and I went down the record when we did our Chilling Adventures episode, I love her as Sabrina.
She's fantastic.
I will say, I did not love her as Kimmy, but I think she's supposed to be annoying, so I think it's like what they asked for.
Yeah.
But really, the most hateable character, 100% from that show is Kimmy. Hate her. And you only remember her, which is really worse.
You should go to like her IMDb page or like her Wikipedia and like read her to filth about
right,
this.
And just let her know. And just snakes on her Instagram.
I love it. You should.
No, I shouldn't.
No,
that
you
is
should just
bullying.
send her snake emojis on her Instagram.
You're an online bully is what you are.
But if we do it through emojis, it doesn't count, is what I have learned.
It counts more. The color makes it hurt more.
So you know that podcast, I Like All Fantasy Everything? They're, the most recent episode, they drafted the emojis. And, like, at first when I read that that's what they were doing, I was like, that's a silly thing to do. But then listening to them, I would have to really fight if we were like, we have to split the emoji keyboard. And we each get to take turns picking which ones we own. For me, it would be a real battle because I have like 4 or 5 like solid gold emojis that are like, this is how I convey my information and my love. Yes. And like my comments.
I call the heart right off the bat.
Fine. I call the prayer hands.
That's fine. You can have religion.
Hashtag blessed.
Can I have the vomit smiley?
That's fine, but I call the eggplant.
Oh, I've never used that once. You can have that.
Okay, girl.
See, I think we can do it. It's just like us and men. We're never attracted to the same men.
Oh my God, you're right. We're the best friends that anyone could have. We never want the same dick. We're super good friends.
Well, there was that time when you
wanted your dick, but you didn't want to share it with me, and then
wanted my dick too.
Yeah.
Or I want a dick.
It's great though because we worked through it, and now I get the eggplant emoji.
That's true.
So far,
it all worked out for you in the end.
Yeah, and now I don't want your dick anymore, so.
It's good. You got your own dick. Yeah. Well, I mean, you married one. But not that Aaron's a dick. Never mind.
We love you.
Let's see. So, Titus was nominated for an Emmy last year.
I don't remember that, but very deserving.
Yeah, but he lost to Henry Winkler.
Okay, but I will say I did watch season 1 of Barry, and I think they gave Henry Winkler that as like a Lifetime Achievement Emmy. Blessings, like they did with Leo for The Revenant. Was The Revenant the best thing Leo ever did? No. But does Leo deserve an Oscar? I think yeah. No. And as far as white men go, if Leo's getting an Oscar, Henry Winkler deserves an Emmy.
Yeah, I see it.
But also, not to just be like, Henry Winkler is old and he deserves it. Henry Winkler was fucking great in Barry.
That's what everyone says.
He was fucking great.
So you think he deserved it?
I do. I think he was hilarious as that character.
We'll be doing like an Emmy episode, but did they get nominated for stuff?
Do you mean an Oscar
That's exactly
episode?
What I meant. I say do that every time because I'm a fool.
Didn't get nominated for the last Emmys because or the Golden Globes or whatever we did because it didn't air. But whatever. So I think we did Golden Globes and then Emmys will happen in the fall, September, and they'll be eligible for that. And I am sure that they will get nominated for Best Comedy. They'll get nominated probably for Best Actor, Titus, because he fucking owned it.
I think it was Best Supporting. Do you think he would get... Well, he would have to be Best
I don't know if he'll win it because also Veep is coming. It's tough with Veep coming back because it's also the final season of Veep, and Veep historically clears the board, not necessarily in the actor category, though Julia Louis always takes it home, but they might feel inclined to do so. But Titus crushed it.
Yeah. Well, I think Titus deserves something. I mean, do you know what role he originated on Broadway, Titus Burgess?
No, not at all, but he's so talented.
So he originated the crab from Little Mermaid, Sebastian.
Shut up.
He is the original Sebastian. Yes. And I was watching him.
I can see that now that you've said it. I can hear him singing these words.
Oh, it's perfect. It's totally perfect. As he says, and I agree, he really should have been Ursula. That's really the more perfect role for him. But, yeah. And, you know, if you're interested, you can YouTube him singing Poor Unfortunate Souls. And let me tell you, it is
so good.
Fantastic.
Yes. I'll definitely be Googling that. That's I'm very into that.
But you were saying earlier you think he's the most talented person on the show.
I
think I agree. His voice is just astonishing.
Well, and any time that like working in musical episodes and like different musical things is a very popular thing, especially in comedies and dramedies, like in the recent years of television. But they don't just work it in, like it's a part of who he is. And to me, the way that he just like sings a myriad of songs about basic human necessities or like the activities that he's doing, to me is a very real thing because like we do that. Like in our friendship and our friendships with other people's, the interactions we generally have, like we just sing what we're doing. And
we sound just like him. Also.
We do not. The thing is, he does it, and he does it so good.
Oh, but I thought, okay. So.
But also, like, his little hilarious, like, aside songs, to me, are some of the best moments. Like, Pinot Noir was a full-out number. That was a full-out number. But I'm gonna burn off my skin tags. I'm gonna be famous. Like, that's an iconic, just, like, set of words that was a song that Titus sang about just a mundane thing that he was doing in his life, right?
Yeah, and there's so many of those. I mean, his lemonade moments.
Oh, his lemonade moment. It was iconic.
Down the street.
Yeah, it was iconic. But even Kimmy in the most recent season called back to "I'm Gonna Be Famous." Like, she was like, there's a moment where I might be famous. And her first instinct was, I'm gonna be famous. Right. And that's our instinct. The people of the world, that is our instinct now. Titus made that happen.
He did.
Yeah, that's his moment.
Well, so let me ask you this. We were talking about this before. For us, you're right. It is our instinct in that moment to start singing a Titus song, right?
I'm gonna use my blue pen. That's just like a thing we would say. That's just like who we are.
But we were saying, I mean, obviously there must be people who haven't seen this show.
Sure.
Right? Probably even some young people with Netflix who haven't seen this show.
We need them to remedy this.
Well, I think it's interesting because it's like, what is the audience for this show? Like, is it people who love Parks and Rec and The Office and those kinds of situational comedies?
That's interesting. I often love to think of pop culture in terms of, if you like this, you might like this. True. Because that's how I like to find recommendations. Like I have Googled, like, if you like 30 Rock... ... Like, what is out there for you? BuzzFeed does a lot of articles like that. Like, if you love Gone Girl, you'll love these true crime thriller, like, whatever, you know? So for me to think of it in terms of like that, I think, like, if you love Parks and Rec and 30 Rock, you might like Kimmy Schmidt. If you like something current, if you like Superstore and The Good Place, I think that you might like Kimmy Schmidt.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
if you like the work of Saturday Night Live alumni, you might like Kimmy Schmidt. Yeah. And I think it's a really broad audience, but I think there's a lot for a bunch of different people personally. Yeah. Like, because it's so not rooted in reality that, like, it's a really good show to watch when you need to disconnect. You know?
Well, I do think, I agree with you, and I think it's a balm in that way, kind of like Parks and Rec. Those shows that I can turn on when I'm, like, feeling sad, that I know, or pessimistic even more so, that I know will make me feel more, like, hopeful about the world, essentially. I do think, I will say, just talking about who the audience is and who it isn't, you do need to be pretty socially liberal to think this show is
Oh,
good.
that's fair.
You know, because it's like a lot of, which, I mean, as all people should be, but a lot of like, you know, like Lillian's like the most liberal person on earth pretty much. And there's a lot of gay stuff.
Snowflakes wouldn't like this.
I don't think so.
Not for
Not conservative snowflakes anyway. And then I think you have to be, I mean, it's not a very politically correct show. I mean... So
it's not. They say
snowflakes on both
Jacqueline-
sides of the aisle, I guess.
Jacqueline says a lot of things that are like, yeah, you're right. People who are like so politically correct in the liberal version, like the liberal version of super politically correct, there's problematic things.
Yeah. Well,
Jacqueline's whole story arc is a problematic thing for people who are like, people could think that that's too far.
Yeah.
I like at risk of like, you never want to like step on anyone's feet or get into too much trouble, but like I personally have such a personality that like I'm fine with the comedy around the things that they say that are problematic because I know that the writers come from like a place of like love and commentary and like comedy just on that as like a state of things, and they're just like not hateful people. Like I just trust in Tina Fey enough to like accept it.
Yeah.
But everybody can't be in that place.
That's true.
I get that.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of, without going too deep into it, and so to avoid spoilers, there's a lot of, there are some worries about like whitewashing and passing as a term. Like passing in society is one thing when in fact you're the other thing, is a big like part of her story arc. It kind of is her story arc, actually, more or less. A lot of people were mad about that. I kind of think everything that Kimmy Schmidt does is very conscious. I think when you should get mad about whitewashing is when people are like, this isn't even an issue. Like, for example, what's her face in Doctor Strange, who I love, but she plays the ancient one.
Oh, Tilda Swinton.
Like Tilda Swinton. Like, that's an issue. Like, I love that movie. I really do. And I fucking love Tilda Swinton.
Do you think Tilda is short for Matilda?
No, I think it's probably short for like Tiddlywinks or something. Isn't she from like rural Ireland or something like that? I just totally made that up. That could be completely
she is Irish. No, I think she is.
She's like from, but I'm saying like rural old country.
Not to get too off topic because we'll get back to what you were saying, but James McAvoy hosted Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks ago.
Shirtless?
No, but he wore a kilt in the opening, which I think is very sexy. And he made a thing about like, I'm wearing this kilt and also I'm extremely Scottish. And that's why he wore the kilt. And his whole thing was like, you probably had no idea that I'm extremely deeply Scottish. And he was fucking right. Like, at first, I thought he was doing like a bit like with his deep, deep, deep Scotsman accent. I was like, this is a funny thing James McAvoy's doing. Girl.
He's just being himself.
He's fully just from like Edinburgh and is just like a fucking Scottish person, but does voice acting so well. He only ever plays like the way he described it, like a twink British person, or like an American. Like those are his like two main modes of acting. I thought he was just this sweet. He has the sweetest like lulling British accent that is like such a turn on, and also just like calming, like Professor Xavier. Like he's not that at all. He has this like deep Scots voice. It's wild. Y'all should check out James McAvoy in a kilt talking in a Scottish accent. Just his normal life. Just living his life.
You've really inspired me with that, Morgie, because I didn't know that. You've inspired me to drop my American accent and just talk like I learned to talk.
Mick actually only speaks Cockney. Every day is a challenge.
Well, it's not. It's pretty hard.
Last James McAvoy thing, he did a whole skit with some people about he was like an air traffic controller, but he was using a Scottish accent, and like some American people were like needing help, their plane was going down, and he was like trying to help them, and he was just saying like normal stuff, and they were like, but literally what are you saying? Because they just have like their slang is so wild, even though they're fully speaking English. It's like, no, but what is the English equivalent of that? Like what you have just said. He's like, use your heed. Your heed. Where do your plane leaves? And they're like, what?
Well, that was fascinating, Morgan.
Tilda Swinton. Before Tilda Swinton.
Okay, yes.
Something.
That's the kind of whitewashing you should get mad about, because Well, because that was the whitewashing where they're like, this doesn't exist. This is just a character. She's not even white. They're not white. It's not an Asian character.
They're like, she's not even a woman. She's Tilda Swinton.
Exactly. I mean, it was very much that, which at the time, I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't mad. It didn't even, I don't know, sink in. But looking back, it's like, yeah, that is whitewashing. And that is something we should ban about. But like this whole storyline that Jacqueline has is very like tongue-in-cheek whitewashing. It's like, I think they even say whitewashing a bunch of times, like in the show. So to me, I'm like, y'all are too triggered over there. You're overly triggered. Take your finger off the trigger, sit your ass down, and actually like look at what is being put in front of you before you just say, oh, I heard something I don't like and I'm done. Because that's what people like to do these days, and I'm sick of it unless I'm the one doing it, to be honest.
That's fair, and like I get it too. Like it's easy, like when I hear like things that other people are affected by or like angry about, I like to try to think about like where they're coming from or whatever. Sure. And like, I'm not saying that like how they feel is wrong or like anything, but like for me, it's easier for me as a white cisgender woman to just be like, okay, well, I'm gonna just watch this thing and I'm just gonna take it all in. And like sometimes you do look back on things like Tilda Swinton as this person that she was in the Doctor Strange series and be like, I don't know, maybe there was a better approach to that. And like it's easier for me to do that. From the position in society that I live in, like it's easier for me to be like, I'm gonna watch this thing that the media might say is a whitewashing situation and just like enjoy it for the like commentary and comedy that it is. But maybe if I was a Native American woman, I would feel very differently. Yeah. But like I come from a place of privilege, but also I come from a place of just like loving to make fun of the status quo and the system, and I think that's what they're doing in a lot of ways, especially with Jacqueline's storyline.
Well, a lot of people, you know, Joy Behar talks about in The View almost every episode.
Go on.
Yeah. Oh, now titillated now, are you? No, but I mean, it's a hard time for comedy in a very real way, because comedians have done bad things and gotten caught. But also because comedy is about kind of offending you. It's about allowing you to laugh at what normally you would cry about, I think. I think that's the reason comedy has been so important to society for all these years.
That's interesting.
It's a coping mechanism. But now people are like, I don't even want to cope. I want this not to be an issue. And the comedians are like, well, that's fair, but like, I'm still coping.
It's hard.
You know? I just, yeah.
You know what? Sometimes what seems to make it better, like maybe in my personal heart and also in like the hearts of other people, is like, especially on like podcasts I listen to, I think I've already mentioned All Fantasy Everything. They should pay me because I plug them all the time.
All the time.
But they are a really diverse group of people that create a podcast. It's like these three best friends. It's a Jewish guy, in his words, 100% bar mitzvah and everything. Like, that's how he describes himself. It's a very, very black man whose mother is from Nigeria, like very rooted in the African and the African American community. He's a very black person. And then it's just like this Midwest guy, like a very Midwest white person who's like, favorite person is Tony Hawk, and he's a skater, and he's like a 35-year-old comedian who works at like a company that like calls people on the phone for money. Like, they are very like three diverse people that can like, to me, talk about their very specific like Ian Carmel is very Jewish, and he makes all the Jewish jokes. Like, he talks about the Holocaust at every turn. He makes every commentary on the Jewish community as a joke. But he also engages in jokes about the black community with his best friend, David Borghi, who is very like, y'all don't know shit about like black women till you like had a Nigerian mother, like, let me tell you. And then meanwhile, like, their friend Sean from the Midwest is like, y'all, I'm just over here being white. We so basic. And they can make fun of that. But like, them three as like three very different diverse people have this like power of commentary because they are backed up by somebody from a different demographic. And I think that's really empowering, and that's something Kimmy Schmidt doesn't necessarily have. They have Titus, End of diversity.
Well, I mean, okay, I think that's a bit much, because it really depends on how you define diversity. I mean, they are all strong women, first of all, so there's some diversity right there. They're a large age range, too, because I don't know how old she is, but Carol Kane, forgive me, has got to be pushing 600.
I don't disagree with that.
But I mean, you're right, there aren't very many brown people in the show.
But to a lot of other people, it's a cast of white people in Titus.
Oh.
Like, I'm not saying, like, to me, like, once again, I'm this person and I enjoy all these things, but like, to the Native American community, they're like, it's a bunch of white people making a joke about, like, Native Americans having to whitewash themselves to exist in society. And I'm not saying that it's wrong or it's right, but like, I think that's what a lot of other people see.
I mean, I can't be bothered to care about that, to be honest. I mean, I get, but so what? Because if there was like one Native American person on the show, which by the way, there's like 5 Native American people on the show, but
one of those guys is in Twilight.
Oh, fascinating. So if there was like one brown person on the show, then they could make those jokes. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, there was one Native American on the show. That's not how that works. And frankly, a black guy, a Jewish guy, and a basic white guy in a room can be just as racist, homophobic, misogynistic, shitty first world pieces of shit as anyone else. So, but I think that a lot of people do believe that, though, is if you've got diversity in the scene, you're allowed to say whatever you want. And I think everyone's allowed to say whatever they want. And if you've got diversity in the scene, that's good. You're less likely to be offensive, but it doesn't mean you're not a fucking asshole.
Also true.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's fair. If maybe people see that, I disagree with them. But that's fine. We can disagree, I guess, about that.
I mean, I like Kimmy Schmidt and I think it's hilarious.
I do too. I really, it rankles me that it's like, if anyone thinks of it as like a white people show, that rankles me.
It's a difficult time for comedy, like you said. Like everything is so hypersensitive. But I think that's an interesting and strong thing that Kimmy Schmidt does is they push back against that and they say like, this is the thing that makes you uncomfortable, but we're gonna like go there anyway.
Well, do you think that black people or people of color are a part of the audience for this show? Returning to that question earlier. I mean, with that in mind, do you have to have more than one black character to be like...
No, you don't for it to be an appealing thing. And if you did, like, black people wouldn't like much of anything except for fucking Tyler Perry because, like,
Atlanta.
Hollywood's so white.
Yeah,
Atlanta's so good. Thank God for Donald Glover. But yeah, like, I think that black people and people of color obviously enjoy, like, white-ass shit that's out there because most of the shit out there is white-ass shit. And some of it happens to be good and you're gonna like it anyways. And also, white people should deign to tune into, like, shows and movies that feature people of color.
Living single! It's never too late.
Single in a 90s kind of world. I'm glad I got my girl. And then Queen Latifah comes in and we're too white for that. We're not going to try to recreate.
Oh my fucking God. No, that was a good show.
Family Matters.
Moesha.
Great class. Oh, Brandy.
Sister. I mean, look, 90s kids, maybe, I'm sure there are plenty of white kids in the 90s who didn't. But if you weren't racist and you had UPN, girl, or whatever it was called, UPN?
Yes, and then it got bought
and then
by
it went to the CW. But there were a lot. But I do remember distinctly being like, "This is like the Black People channel." I remember thinking that. You know why?
Yeah,
because it starred people of color.
And I watched all that shit.
Yeah, it was all great.
Also,
but I do remember thinking that. So maybe fair enough.
And if you're wondering like what to dip your toes in today, as like a white person who maybe wants to diversify what they're watching, I can personally recommend. First of all, y'all haven't seen Black Panther, change your life. What's that show on HBO that stars Issa Rae? Insecure.
Oh, Insecure.
Insecure is a great show featuring like 90% people of color and then 10% white people they make fun of, which I'm totally fine with. And then Girls Trip was a really popular film from last year starring another cast of black excellence, Jada Pinkett Smith,
Queen Latifah.
Yes, it was.
What's
just
her name? Who's really big right now?
Yeah.
I know her name.
Not Taraji. She was in several movies.
Like 3 movies just came out with her right now, and she seems so likable and sweet.
Anyways, it's a bunch of great people.
Yeah.
Oh wait, are you talking about the one who's really funny?
Yeah, like the one who's like blowing up right now. What's her name? You have all the tech because I don't have my computer or my phone.
I do have a phone. Anyways, every person you ever could want to watch that's funny, they're friends and they go on a trip and it's hilarious. There's a lot of great things you could like try to, but like y'all don't. Whatever, that Tyler Perry stuff is just no good. And it has nothing to do with the cast.
Some Medea.
Y'all, if Medea puts out one more goddamn holiday film, it's like Medea's Valentine's Day.
Yeah. With love from Medea.
I just like can't.
I don't know.
Like, can't.
I like when they break into gospel music myself, but
well, that's
I
fair.
really do like that. By myself, I don't find it threatening.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, we wanted to talk about the audience. Even the idea irritates me that a black person would look at this show and say not for me, primarily because I will be honest with you, often gay friendly shows and quote unquote black shows don't overlap. This one should be both. If a black person looks at this and it ties Andromedon, what is wrong with me? I can't remember.
It's a lot of words.
I guess so.
They're very similar.
And they don't connect with him. My answer would be, oh, why is that? Is it because he's a flaming gay man? Because then we could talk about that for a while.
That's true. It's very queer friendly.
It's extremely. I think I could see definitely, we kind of said this already, but homophobes or anyone against like normalizing queer behavior would not like this show at all. Because it is extremely queer friendly and lady friendly. I think that's the two things, which is maybe why we both love it. I mean, it's two demographics we care a lot about.
Yeah. God, can you just believe in the day when like it's all just fine? Like,
I don't know if that day
weird.
I don't know if that day will ever exist because identity is so important to people. It's like the star-bellied sneeches or whatever is that what they're called? From Dr. Seuss? It's like the minute we all get blank thing, then we're going to be like, oh, but you've got a wonky left foot and I only like people with great left feet. I mean, America especially, but all of humanity is like that.
Seuss is deep.
He is deep. Deep.
R.I.P.
Dr. Gressel Seuss? Gressel? Is that his name?
No, he had a
Todd
totally
Gressel
different
or something
name.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have no idea what his name is.
I don't know. Well,
Was it
now.
Sam I Am?
I don't think so.
So, anyways, to sum up Kimmy Schmidt, right? We think that Kimmy Schmidt is a very feminist and queer friendly and inclusive show in many ways. We think they push the envelope and they test their audience and they make commentary on society in such a way that it's like funny and ridiculous, but also very like serious content.
And also very uplifting,
And very uplifting.
You finish an episode and you probably want to watch another. It's a great show to binge.
It's a good bingey show. Actually, if you've never seen Kimmy Schmidt, it's one of those shows, like when you find out like someone's never seen The Office or something, you're like, I wish I had never seen it so I could start all over. Like it's a great show to have never seen and just dive right in and consume all of it.
Season 3 does stumble a little bit, but don't worry, you'll get through it.
We admit there's a lull.
There's a lull.
But it gets
Season
there.
3 is not amazing.
But
But season 4,
there.
this newest season, fabulous. The finale
Super gets there.
just
it
amazing.
ended just in time. Like they
I
saw
agree.
they
I
didn't
agree.
drag it out. They were like, it kind of got not good there for a second. We fixed it and we ended it.
And a lot of people are mad at Netflix for that. I say no kudos Netflix.
Me too.
In TV shows before they jump the shark and become shit fests.
Also, and then it frees up these very, very talented
Yes.
people to move on and create something else beautiful.
Now we can see
that'll be
Titus
even
in everything.
stronger.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And he deserves to be in everything.
Yes.
He's so good.
I think he is blowing up right now. I heard
I'm glad.
he's putting out a record. He's got like a huge performance coming up somewhere. He wouldn't say where. And then he's like working on lots of projects in LA and New York.
That's
So
good.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of what is his fucking name? Tyus Burgess.
Very talented.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. Could watch him in anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So good.
Okay, well I don't have any games or anything. I guess I'm done. I feel like I've emoted all I can emote.
Done here.
Yeah. Do you have a plug this week, Morgan?
I do. I just finished reading sort of recently Two very strong female books. It's a big theme of the books I'm reading this year. Unintentionally, I have been trying
because you hate women.
I do. I hate women, so I don't really read books about them. But I've been
buy them.
Trying to diversify the sort of books I read, and because fantasy and crime, crime and thriller. I don't know. Should I call it a thriller? Crime sounds like painful. Fantasy and thrillers are like really big genres for me, so I've been sort of diversifying and reading a lot of like different things, different sorts of fiction. A couple nonfiction, but y'all, let's be real, I prefer fiction. And I recently read The Female Persuasion by Meg Wolitzer, which the title, Female Persuasion, is about a character. The title's from a character in the book who wrote a feminist book called The Female Persuasion, which happens to also be the title of the book. And the book is a very feminist book, but not just about women feminists, also about men feminists and men realizing that they are a feminist and like what that means as a man, because when people hear the word feminist, it can be really polarizing and people don't understand that we have different opinions of what it means, but men can very much be feminists. You can raise your sons to be a feminist, and it doesn't make them feminine in any way. It just makes them have these ideas of empowerment for women and equality, which is wonderful and translates across all kinds of inclusivity and is very encouraged. So it was a really great story about some women coming into their own feminist ways, and then men also doing that, and it was beautiful, and I really liked it. Meg Wolitzer. She's got some other books out that I think I'll try to read. And then I also read The Nightingale, which was a very feminist book about women coming into their own in Nazi-occupied France during World War II, and how that affected their lives and how they adjusted to survive, that situation, because that's really hard for them. And
hard because it was so much fun, right? I don't remember
just
World
like
War
the
II
party
history,
never stopped.
They were like, I'm exhausted. I've already had 6 mollies and I have a marijuana tablet.
What's a marijuana tablet? No, but it was really good. So those are 2 books I finished sort of recently that I would recommend, and listen to both of them as audiobooks. And the narrators are really great. And as you know, a narrator makes or breaks an audiobook.
Amen.
And I can recommend both of them.
Oh, beautiful.
And you?
I finished War and Peace. And I found...
You wrote Bible 2.0. The New Way.
Yes, I finished the New Way Bible. Writing it, that is. And
which
I also
BT
read
Dubs,
War
can
and
I get
Peace
an autographed copy? Can you sign it, God?
Yes, I'll let him speak through me. Actually, you know what? I've been, you know what? I do have things. I didn't think I had plugs.
You have so many things.
But I've been watching a bunch of movies.
He doubted himself and a woman empowered him. The age of feminism.
Whoa, whoa. I finally watched 8th Grade by Bo Burnham. Have you seen that?
I watched it when we were apart. I watched it.
Oh.
Awkward and beautiful. Go on.
I liked it. I thought it was touching, and I thought it was real, almost too real, in that it was very cringy to me. Not in a bad way. Not like I'm judging it
in
and
real life
at it,
8th grade way.
Yeah, which I thought was quite powerful, but I will say it didn't quite get me there. You know what I mean? Maybe because it did feel too real and yet not real enough. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
What'd you think about the dad stuff? I thought the dad stuff was precious.
I thought it was really funny. I thought, I love him.
He's so patient. I don't know I can't remember.
Greg Kinnear.
So patient.
Love Greg Kinnear. He was super. And Greg Kinnear, speaking of the devil, is in Unbreakable.
He didn't play her dad.
Oh, is that not Greg Kinnear? Once again,
okay, maybe that's fair. Maybe they're the same person, and I'm wrong.
And they could be completely different. But I thought it was funny. I just felt like it was one of those things that's like, it's like a short story that's like a slice of life, and you finish it and you're like, that was interesting, but nothing happened. And I definitely felt that way about Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. I liked it, but
he has some other movies that people really like that I also haven't seen. Sleepwalk with Me is like a movie he did that people really liked. He has he sleepwalks.
Oh.
And it's a book, or it's a movie about that. Call me basic, but like her mother...
Done.
Her mother like left.
Yeah.
And then he was like a single dad, and it was like her or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it seems like such a rare, unusual thing, right? Like many people grow up without a father, but like a mother like opting out of parenthood is like a less common thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a father being like, I'll just be a single dad or whatever. So like anytime that's like a main part of a story, like I always just automatically connect with it.
Of course.
But oh my God, you're right. It was like the cringiest thing ever. It was like too real. And like we were awkward 8th graders, but we were, I would deign to say, less awkward than she was.
Well, I think everyone in that school is less awkward than her.
So that was like really painful too, because when you draw on your own 8th grade memories, like it was already so hard. And to try to be like, what would it be like if you was that girl? But like, what if I think she grows up to be a beautiful butterfly?
Yeah, she's
I really do.
Well, I think the script could have used a lot more humor. Like a lot more humor, I think, for my personal needs.
I feel that. Because
I felt like I would cringe for like 15 minutes and then I would want to laugh, but there were no laugh lines. Like it was a singularly humorless movie, I thought. And I wish it'd been a little, just a touch of Napoleon Dynamite. You know what I mean? Because those are similar cringe characters. But it's a much more ridiculous, like, premise and worldview, so it's funnier. But I could have used just a touch of absurdity to relieve the like never-ending awkwardness.
I wonder if like some girl, plural, somewhere look at this movie and like that one girl who like had a birthday party and was like a cheerleader and like was forced to invite her. I wonder if they see themselves in that girl and like what that makes them feel, because like the person we were at 8th grade, however old that is, we're very different people now, and like I know I've changed a lot and like have made questionable choices and like tried out fads and things where I'm like, this is who I am, but really it wasn't. And like when I look back on that, I'm like, ugh. And like people are that fucking rude ass little girl.
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
And they grew up to be just like people who are parents or some shit. Ugh.
I don't know.
Being young is hard.
I do think if we were in 8th grade when this came out, it might be much more important to me. But then again, maybe not. I don't know. There's just something about that didn't quite gel to me.
I feel like if you were just a few years older, like what if you're in 10th grade watching this?
It's kind of like Catcher in the Rye, and you can't really enjoy it if you're in it.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to be slightly aged out, but like at our age, it's like so distant. But I think it'd be really powerful for like even a college freshman to look back on that, because like you're still in your formative years at that point. Like, you know, we're set in fucking stone. Honestly, like we're evolving in small ways, but we're basically who we are.
We're basically
who we are. But when you're younger, like so many different factors affect who you, and in that film, factors affect who she becomes by the end of the hour and a half or whatever.
I thought it was, overall, I would say definitely watch it. I think it's on...
free on Amazon right now.
Amazon, yeah. That's where I watched it. I really enjoyed it. I will not recommend the documentary Catwalk, also on Amazon, I think. Okay. It's about ridiculous cat owners at cat shows.
Oh, people have been posting about this.
I thought maybe I can, you know, because I like bad film of all sorts, so I thought maybe it would be... There's not a lot to tell.
Just cute, fluffy cats and skinny bald cats?
Pretty much. And 2 owners specifically, who are battling it out to win the, like, fucking medallion at the end.
Do they have those flat-faced cats?
One of them does. One of them doesn't. And it's just about, like, them and, like, it's just... I say don't waste your time. Maybe if you're really high, it would be enjoyable. But there aren't even that many cute cats in it. Which sounds like you're like, how is that even possible? But they kind of focus mostly on the people. And the people... It's not, it doesn't.
They're not like eccentric enough? Or?
I mean, we did not find our next Judy Garland. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I mean, they're kind of eccentric, but they're just kind of, it's kind of like 8th grade. It was a little too just normal, real, boring, awkward, cringy people, which is fine, except I could see that at a bus stop.
I know we're wrapping it up, but can we talk a minute about people who rely on their pets for fame and what that means for them because pets live short lives? Because I follow many pets on social media, and recently Buddy Boo Waggy Tails died.
Oh.
He is, you obviously don't know who he is.
No, it's an utterly blank, uncaring expression. I'm so sorry.
Any followers of Buddy Boo Waggy Tails out there know that Buddy Boo Waggy Tails is a Instagram specific account of a Pomeranian pup that looks like a teddy bear. Okay. Like he's the Pomeranian that looks like a teddy bear that you've seen on everything. Like he's like the spokesperson of like so many pet things, and he looks like a tiny teddy bear stuffed animal. He died recently.
Did he kill himself to get out from under the shame of that fucking name?
That's probably what happened. I think
he was once a wolf.
So I think his name is Boo, but she has another dog named like Buddy, and maybe they have a dog named like Waggy, or maybe their dogs are like Waggy Tails. But the one dog was the star, and there were like adjacent dogs. But like she announced on like Instagram like he died, and then like silence. So like, what about her life has changed financially? She's taking a hit because her dog, who was her moneymaker, is dead as fuck. So like, does she have a day job? I don't know. But like these people who use their pets, Grumpy Cat's a fucking empire. Sure. Does his mother have a job? Probably not, because she's got to take Grumpy Cat to South by Southwest every year. Yeah. That is his job. He like walks the red carpet. He is a cat. He's going to die at some point. Her life is going to change dramatically when he doesn't exist anymore. And what a fascinating time to be alive.
So you just got so much joy out of realizing you live right now.
Her job is she's a cat mom.
Listen.
She's a cat mom.
So what you need to do is fucking get ahead of the game. Get one of those fucking Galapagos tortoises that live like 200 years.
They just found babies for the first time in decades.
Steal one of those tortoises and then make it fucking Instagram famous, and you will ride that tortoise slowly to fame and fortune. Because that tortoise ain't gonna die for nobody. For nothing.
What I'm hearing is a brilliant idea. You are my baby.
Yes.
I love you.
I love you too.
You was smart. You was
Copyright
kind.
Nick Parker.
Oh no.
Sorry, but can I still have all the compliments?
Problem.
Also, secondarily, addendum idea. Adopt a redwood.
Copyright Morgan Messick.
What? How could you? Fine, you take the tree, I'll take the tortoise. That's fine.
Oh, I'm gonna be a cute tree hacker. And I'm gonna go to sloth. Copyright Morgan
Messick. Oh no! I'm sorry that Betty Boo Waggy Tails died.
Buddy!
I'm still sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean,
it is strange though. It's a freakish.
TBR, to be real, I don't care.
You do care. You say literally sobbing.
He wasn't my favorite.
Running down your cheeks.
Wasn't my favorite internet pet, but I do think it's an interesting thing to think about.
It's strange. It's a different life altogether.
Very much. Very much.
Stage moms and stuff. Well,
she's a stage mom.
Essentially, yeah. So do watch 8th Grade if you want. Don't watch Catwalk. Do read Nightingales and... Oh, no, I've got it. I don't have it.
Female Persuasion.
Female Persuasion. Damn it.
And don't be a stage mom. Unless you do and you're rich and then do.
But you know what everyone should do? Is like us on Facebook.
And on all the social media. And you know what they should do more importantly? Subscribe and give us a 5-star review.
Yes.
Now, we would encourage you to give us whatever review you think is good. But
no, we wouldn't.
Only if it's 5 stars.
Yes. Who the fuck? No, if you want to get on there and give a 4-star review, honey, you can go to Red Lobster. Honestly, and get 4-star reviews there.
Yes, because also we have a perfect 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Yeah. And like, do you want to be the person that ruins that for us?
Yeah, some people do. We probably have a lot of contrarian listeners. Let me just say this.
Don't do that.
Let me just say this.
We need those.
If you're tempted to go on and give a 3-star review, honey, you can go to Olive Garden and give a 3-star review. Let me tell you that.
Okay.
You want to give a 2-star review? Okay. Sweet baby, you can walk your happy ass over to Burger King.
Okay.
And give the King 2 stars. You want to give a 1-star review? What's the place left? KFC.
Well, I don't know. The Asian population really loves Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Do they really? Is that a
It's
thing?
very popular in Japan.
Oh.
It's their one of their number one restaurants.
Well, we're in Austin, so how about this? You want to give a 1-star review? You go to In-N-Out Burger, my sweet baby. And
I
you
think
give
that's
them
a
that
thing that
1-star
people
review.
can agree on.
Yes, but you come to Beauty and the Bitch, honey. You give a 5-star review, or you hit the road because our time is valuable.
Yeah. And also, if you want to give a 4-star review, could you please just not do that?
Yeah. Or like I said, go to Red Lobster. I'll go through it again, honey.
Also, though,
I'm not
hearing you
even
mention Olive Garden, I saw an Olive Garden commercial when I watched the Super Bowl. Boring.
Yeah.
And now I kind of really want
Do you
Olive
remember ninth
Garden.
grade prom when we went to Olive Garden?
Yeah.
And what's her face, our sweet friend, got that shrimp linguine, and she done thrown that shrimp linguine up before we got back in that limousine.
Who was it?
Oh, she's real sweet. I forgot her name right now. Blonde hair, quite
Morgan.
pretty. Okay. Not my date that night. Quiet.
Katie.
No.
Margaret.
You were friends with her. You'd know her. She's going to be so pissed when she hears this and neither of us remember her name.
She's blonde, though?
She was blonde. I don't know. She might be bald now for all I fucking know. She's not on Facebook, so she's kind of... I don't see her ever. Anyway, we knew this girl who done had shrimp linguine and threw up on her freshman prom.
That doesn't deter me. I want a $6.99 lunch special with breadsticks.
Well, in that case, you can go to Olive Garden and give a 3-star review.
I might
but
give
if
a
you come to
5-star.
Beauty and the Bit page, we're doing 5 stars.
Okay. So y'all be sure to like us on everything. Give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Check us out. We have a website.
No, we do.
It's like bnbcast.wordpress.com.
And to those of you saying, why don't you just pay $10 a month just so you can have the domain name? What?
We already spending money?
Yeah.
And I need a new microphone?
Okay.
We have to buy wine
Morgan's
once
broken
a
like
week.
one of everything already, pretty much.
To be honest, it's my own fault, and I treat
These
my
things
things like
happen.
trash. And
These
Aaron's
things
always like, if you loved it, you would care for it. And he's right.
Is he talking about himself when does he say that?
Oh, no!
Like in the rain, sobbing, in your backyard or
I
something?
love him so much, I'm just busy.
So that's why we haven't bought the domain name, because we don't make no damn money. But if you want to give us some money.
Oh, do
Money.
that. Text your girl. We'll figure that out. But yeah, so check us out on there. And then, of course, you can follow us wherever. And I don't have any other plugs to give. We love you.
We love you?
We love you.
We love them. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Really? No other plugs? What about our MySpace page?
I'm drunk.
Do you have a home?
Beauty in the Bitch.
You look...
Beauty in the Bitch. Beauty in the Bitch.